So ladies and gentlemen, Bluebird Simulations have been pretty relentless in terms of providing us updates regarding their Boeing 757 add-on aircraft coming to Microsoft Flight Simulator. Now, I recently made a video covering everything that we know about this aircraft for the simulator, as well as some of the interim updates that they've been providing us about the aircraft, including 2 cockpit screenshots. So if you guys haven't seen that video, make sure to click the link on the screen right now or in the description section of the video. But today's video is going to be covering even more updates that the Bluebird Simulations team have made, including things such as a preliminary release timeline, support for Xbox, as well as some fantastic new pictures, exterior modeling, and so on to unpack. And of course, being flyby simulations and really getting into the trenches and the minutiae, we're also going to be looking at some of the questions that the Bluebird Simulations team have answered that the fans of this aircraft have posed on their Facebook forums. So all of that and much more to unpack in this video. Stay tuned. What is going on, guys? Flyby Simulations here, and welcome back to another news video on the channel. As I usually say with these, they do take a little bit of time to put together, so if you guys do have just a couple seconds, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe to the channel, as well as hit that little bell icon or notification icon right next to the subscribe button so you guys can stay up to date with everything that is happening in the world of flight sim. So with that all said, let's get into the world of Bluebird Simulations and see what progress they're making with the 757. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so the plan I have for this video is to basically first look at some of the external screenshots that they've provided about the 757 in sim so that we can dissect it and understand some of the details that the team are working on, and then perhaps get into the FAQs where they really talk about the release timeline and so on, and finally get into those comments I was referring to at the beginning of the video where we really see how Bluebird Simulations are responding to the community in terms of their requests and features that they want implemented and so on. So that's going to be the format of this video, starting with this image right here. This is the first image that Bluebird Simulations provided us with. We can clearly see that the exterior modeling of the aircraft has been going very well. You have that classic aluminum cowling at the back of the engine that looks very indicative, very roughed up, very much in service, as well as those little paint scruffs that you can see at the very back over there. Looks very nice. The slats are also a little extended here, so I think this might be flap 1 or flap 5 configuration because the back flaps are not out and the slats are, so you can see the mechanism there a little bit deployed, so we can see what the external perspective on the 757 might look like if you are trying to record some cinematic content for the aircraft. Of course, great stuff to see. Moving on to the second image here, we can also see the engine. Now, this is still my favorite screenshot because the engine looks so good. The engine fans are very indicative of what a real engine fan looks like in real life. You can see some of the paint and scruff marks towards the inside of the cowling. The overall anti-aliasing and the anisotropic filtering and the light shafts and all that you can see inside the fan blades themselves look so indicative of what a real engine blade fan blade looks like. So very exciting to see. You also see the Rolls-Royce engine variant plastered on the right. Of course, we know that this aircraft is going to be coming with the Rolls-Royce and the Pratt & Whitney engine configurations on release. So very exciting stuff there, but it's good to see that, they're modeling all of this right from the get-go, just so they can make the distinctions between the engine types very clear. And finally, on the exterior modeling front, we also have this aerial image of the engine as well as the wing. It's pretty much the same. Can't really see much apart from the reflections on the edge of the engine cowling. Not really too much in terms of reverser doors or anything extra in terms of the slats or anything like that. So nothing much to say here. Alright ladies and gentlemen, so next up we have this image. Now this is pretty exciting stuff for those of you guys who focus on the minutiae and really want to get down and dirty with these aircraft. You can see that the nose landing gear strut has been modeled very well. The minutiae has indeed been focused on, and the attention to detail is definitely there. Now this is obviously the Boeing 757-300 that is being worked on, pretty obvious with that little text you guys can see at the top of the landing gear door over there. We also see some reflections on the actual bulb of the nose landing gear light, which is pretty cool to see. I think they are generic reflections for now, but I think the team will be working to create real-time ray-marched reflections as we move forward. Now, I have to say that these are all work in progress screenshots, and I think this is the first time the 757 nose landing strut as well as the external model of the aircraft was imported into the sim by the dev team themselves. So far they've been working in their modeling software, and they've just finally imported it into the simulator itself. So for the first try, it looks fantastic. The steel looks like steel, the various aluminum bits look like aluminum, and obviously the rubber is the problem here because it looks a little too glossy and the tires also look a little deflated. Thankfully, in the comments of one of these posts, Bluebird Simulations has explicitly specified that the deflation problem is pretty easy to fix. All they have to do is inflate the tires, and the glossy textures are just a result of this being a work in progress screenshot. So as we move further along the development cycle and they can add some revisions and refinements to their overall external model, the glossy textures of the rubber wheels will be fixed, and we will have a more realistic looking landing gear reminiscent of what a real airliner landing gear looks like. So pretty exciting stuff there. Now this image obviously looks at the back of that nose landing gear strut, and we can see even more attention to detail. We can see some of the screws, some of the rivets, as well as some of the hydraulic lines leading up to the belly of the aircraft, and some of the buttons on the side of the landing gear that the ground handling staff would normally access and, plug in their headphones to and so on, just to be able to talk to the cockpit directly and so on. So again, great attention to detail, nothing more to say here. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, so that's pretty much all we had in terms of the screenshots that the Bluebird Simulations team have shared. Next up, let's move on to some of the FAQs that they answered, the frequently asked questions, and this is where the exciting stuff comes in. This is where we will be talking about Xbox support and, different variants of the aircraft, as well as a preliminary release timeline. So pretty simple stuff, let's get right into it. So firstly, one of the things that the Bluebird Simulations team have said is that they've also added native wing and engine flex to the aircraft, which is pretty exciting to see. I hope to see a video showcase of this so we can actually see how much the wings and the engines bounce, especially on a long winged aircraft such as the 757, and I'll be sure to bring you guys those updates as and when I receive them, so make sure to subscribe to the channel for that if you haven't already. Now, the first questions that has been frequently asked is what versions will you be making? And though we had a bit of an understanding about this, the Bluebird Simulations team have made it very clear that the initial release will be the passenger version with both the 200 and 300 variants. Each variant will have the Pratt & Whitney and Rolls-Royce engine option, along with winglet and non-winglet type. Next up, another frequently asked question is it going to come to Xbox? And the team are very proud to say yes, absolutely. They don't know if it'll be coming to Xbox on the initial release, but this plane is definitely going to make its way to Xbox eventually. Question number 3 is, will there be a cargo version? A lot of people want to fly cargo routes with the 757, and the team have said yes, which is exciting, but it will be a separate expansion pack. The team have reassured that the cargo variant will get lots of attention, but currently as it stands, the aircraft will be priced as an expansion variant. Now, the final frequently asked question, which I'm sure most of you guys are waiting for in this video, is when are you planning to release this aircraft? And the Bluebird Simulations team have said that they're aiming for a later summer/fall 2023 release. So we're around about 10 months to 12 months or a year away from release of this aircraft, which is pretty indicative. I mean, if you look at some of these screenshots, you'll know that, this is pretty work in progress still. It's not close to the final stages of the development cycle, but hopefully this gets expedited. If you guys watching this video have any experience with flight modeling or coding or anything like that, and if you can contribute to this project that Bluebird Simulations are striving towards, make sure to contact them on Facebook. They're very responsive to their community. They have around 700 followers on their Facebook page. If you contact them, they will respond to you, and I'm sure they'll love to have somebody like you with your skill set on their team to help expedite this process and get the 757 to the community's hands as soon as possible. Alright, so now that we've taken a look at all of the FAQs, let's dive a little bit deeper and see what some of the answers have been by Bluebird Simulations to some of the fan questions that people have been posing to them. So the first question that's been asked a lot is, where are the Pratt & Whitney 2000 engine version pics? And because we've only been getting pics of the Rolls-Royce variant, and Bluebird Simulations have said they have some previews of those planned further down the line, and they're going to be, holistically including pictures of both the Pratt & Whitney version as well as the Rolls-Royce version. So more to go there. Next up, somebody asked, what about switches and buttons? Me personally, I'm not expecting not all, but many switches and buttons working, at least a bit less than on the Flight Factor 757 from X-Plane 11, or not like on the Captain Sim 757. If it won't, then it would be really nice. Gonna love this plane. Now, this comment is a little bit confusing, but what he's trying to say is that what switches and buttons in the flight deck are actually going to be working. Is this going to be closer to a study level aircraft or not? And Bluebird Simulations said it's still too soon to comment on this. They have an idea in their mind of what they want to do until it's functioning. They won't make any promises about this. They have said that all of their dimmer switches work independently, but that's just a very small part of the overall switch functionality. Again, very early in the release cycle, but they have said that they're not going to be making a study level aircraft already. It's going to practically just focus on point-to-point operations. So that's what we're expecting from this aircraft, and anything more will just be a bonus. Moving on, there was also a question about the plane being study level like they had with the quality wings in P3D or a notch below. To this, Bluebird Simulations replied that this will be a mid-level aircraft, meaning it will be somewhere in between default and study level. They're still ironing out the exact feature list, but right now their focus is on the FMS and making it accurate. This gentleman then went on to ask what would a mid-level aircraft be missing if the FMS is accurate, and Bluebird Simulations replied saying certain systems and failure modeling will be missing. This package is primarily being designed for mostly normal operations, but of course in the future they may do updates to systems and failures depending on what kind of support they get and if they expand their team and so on. So that's where we currently are with this aircraft. Somebody also asked if you will include an EFB with SimBrief and Navigraph support for charts, and to this, Bluebird Simulations replied, we're still debating how to approach the EFB features, definitely on our radar, but way too early to comment on features. We'll definitely keep the community posted when the time comes, so again, this is not a feature that they're currently working on, but may be something that they work on as we approach the end of the development cycle. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is all we have for this news update today. Now, we don't have anything in terms of pricing, obviously not. It's still very much in the development cycle, but it's good that, Bluebird Simulations have kept themselves accountable to at least a preliminary release timeline of next year, September. So we know when to expect this aircraft. We know what sort of previews that we're going to be expecting to see. The wing flex is very, very exciting to see, as well as the FMS. I'm really excited to see how the overall autopilot characteristics and the flight modeling characteristics of the aircraft are built as the development cycle progresses. If you guys enjoyed the video, make sure to give this video a like, as I said before, subscribe to the channel for more such updates, and let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Are you excited for this aircraft? Is this, sort of just a mediocre aircraft and you're not into it as much? I want to know your thoughts. I want to know what the community is thinking, so leave it down in the comment section below. With that all said, thanks for flying by.